anything that he has planned for you, even that you're not even aware of yet. The blessings that are to come as you dedicate your life to him and you serve the Lord will bring everything to pass that is meant for your life, regardless of when it's meant to bloom. Just remember that your timing is coming. What's good, y'all? It's your main man, Alwin Easy, back with another video again. Today, we're going to go over a topic that hopefully will provide some inspiration and encouragement to some of you who may be at my stage in life or maybe even a little further along. But today's topic is being a late bloomer, right? So some of you all may be thinking that, oh, I'm so far behind in life because we haven't met the expectations that our society has placed upon us, maybe that we place upon ourselves, or people that we know, or our parents, or other people may place on us. But I want to let you know that life has its own timeline. And if you haven't reached certain milestones at a particular time that's expected, it's okay. It's absolutely fine. And so hopefully this will bring some ease to you all. And we're going to get into it. I got my notes here. It's an awesome day today because here in Florida, it's raining. We've been having rain the last 2 days, and it doesn't really rain that often. Usually if we have a little bit of showers, it's sporadic or throughout the day or whatever, but it's been just coming down the last 2 days. So it's providing a nice little cozy atmosphere. You know, I got the clouds, I got the raindrops, got my coffee here. You know, it's a whole vibe. You know, that's why I got the light kind of down low, you know, creating some atmosphere with the natural lighting, you know. So let's just dive into it because I'm hoping that I could provide some assistance for you all today, right? So I got some notes. We're going to be going over a few people in the Bible that the Lord has used at later points in their life. And it's just to show you that God's timeline for our lives doesn't always have to go with the timeline of our society or even the timeline of what we thought to be, you know, the rules of nature. God is a big, abundant God that can do anything. And so hopefully we could draw some encouragement from how God has used people in the Bible and how he can still use us to accomplish things in our lives at this juncture and even beyond. So let's get into it. The first individual I want to look at is Enoch. So Enoch was one of the early descendants of Adam, and he was mightily used. He was a very good and righteous man. Fun fact about Enoch, he's one of only two people in the whole Bible that did not die. So Enoch did not die, and Elijah is another one who was taken up into heaven and did not die. Everybody else in the whole Bible, seemingly in the whole world, has died, including Jesus Christ, and then he rose again from the grave on the third day. But Enoch is one of the only two people who hasn't died in the Bible. So Enoch, his journey was very significant, and the Lord used him. And when he began that journey, he was 65 years old in terms of what God was going to do for him through his offspring. And so here in Genesis 5:21 to 25, when Enoch had lived 65 years old, he fathered Methuselah. Enoch walked with God after he fathered Methuselah 300 years and had other sons and daughters. Thus, all the days of Enoch were 365 years. Enoch walked with God, and he was not, for God took him. You know what I mean? He didn't die. So at this point, Enoch was 65 years old before he was really significantly used from God. And this is just one example, and we're going to go over others of God doing things differently and still using people at times where it may seem that they're past the prime of their life. And I just find significant inspiration and encouragement in that. The next we're going to look at is a classic tale in the Bible, Abraham and Sarah. So God promised Abraham and Sarah many nations were going to come from their offspring. But here's the problem. When he told them this, they were pretty older, right? You know what I'm saying? According to this, Abraham was 100 years old when this came to pass. And Sarah was no really spring chicken either. You know, she was 10 years younger than Abraham. She was 90 years old. And he had a promise that he was going to provide many nations and ultimately carry out his covenant and his promise for his chosen people through their line, through Abraham and Sarah, and ultimately their children, Isaac and Jacob. And so when he promised them this, there's a verse where Sarah laughed. She said, "There's no way you're going to do that." And when she was confronted by the Lord, he said, "You laughed. Why'd you laugh?" She said, "I didn't laugh. I didn't laugh." It's like, no, yeah, you laughed. You laughed in disbelief. And that was in Genesis 17, 17. And it's funny because God brought that to pass. And if anybody's looking at it from our timeline in today's society, we would say that's impossible. There's no way that God could allow for somebody to have children at 100 years old or a woman to have children at 90 years old. Now, we do still live in a natural law of things, but what I'm saying is this was an act of God, and God still acts today. And so while I can't promise that he's going to maybe have a woman have a child at 90 years old today, this is the same God we are worshiping. This is the same God we're serving. And so whatever he wants to do in our lives, with the proper faith and with the proper diligence and prayer, we can't count out the impossible. We can't count out miracles because he's still in the miracle business. And so I want to just give that encouragement to somebody today to let you know that the same God who allowed Sarah and Abraham to conceive and bear children in their ripe old age of 90 and 100, this is the same God that we serve and worship today. So keep that in mind and know that your timeline doesn't really have a cap. You can still keep going. You could still be used, and your life is not behind. Your life is not over. God has you exactly where he wants you to be for all the things that have transpired in your life to reach this very moment for you to still be used as a mighty vessel today and beyond, right? So let's move on to the next one here. My man, Moses. So Moses was chosen to lead God's people, lead them out of captivity. He had a major mission to do, and he started this mission at the age of 80. So we're going to look at Exodus 7, right? Exodus 7, we're going to start at verse 2. And this is his charge, well, God's charge to Moses and his brother Aaron to get the children of Israel out of Egypt. So verse 2 says, "Tell Aaron your brother everything that I command you. Then let him tell the king of Egypt to let the Israelites leave his country. But I will make the king stubborn. Then I will do many miracles in Egypt." We have a God of miracles here, right? But he will still refuse to listen. Pharaoh was very stubborn. And so it says, "So then I will punish Egypt terribly, and I will lead my divisions, my people, the Israelites, out of that land. I will punish Egypt with my power, and I will bring the Israelites out of that land. Then they will know I am the Lord." Moses and Aaron did just as the Lord commanded them. Moses was 80 years old, and Aaron was 83 years old when they spoke to the king. Man. So look at that. Moses, when God first spoke to him, he was about 40 years old. He took some time away and was kind of abandoning what he had to do. But at this point where God called him and his brother to go in and do his work and to speak to the king, Moses was 80 years old. So never count out God's timeline. Never do that. Since we're talking about Moses, let's go to someone who ultimately came after Moses. So let's look at Caleb, right? Caleb, if we look at Joshua, in the book of Joshua, Caleb was one of the 12 spies. It was Caleb and Joshua who were the 2 out of the 12 who, when they went to spy on the land of Canaan, which was the future land of the children of Israel, the other 10 were terrified. They said, it's occupied by men who look like giants and we look like grasshoppers in comparison. They just came back filled with fear. And Joshua and Caleb were the only 2 that essentially had faith in the Lord to say, no, we can do this. With the Lord, we can get this land. He promised this to us. We can do it. And so in Joshua, let's look at 14 verses 7. Let's start at 7. And it says, this is Caleb speaking. I am 85 years old, and I'm just as strong today as when Moses sent me out. I am still strong enough for war or for anything else. Now then, give me the hill country that the Lord promised me on that day when my men and I reported. Look at Caleb's faith. He's saying, I don't care what my age dictate. I don't care what anything in the natural world is saying. God made a promise over my life. And if God made a promise over my life, I don't care how long or when it comes to pass. It's going to come to pass. And that's the same kind of faith that we really need to have in our lives today. Whether you're 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years old, even 80 years old, the Lord can use your life in whichever ways he has intended it, in whichever ways he has promised it to you. And so I want to just encourage anybody that you have the same faith that Caleb had, because we serve the same God. And sure enough, the Lord provided for them and came through with his promises. Right? I just wanted to give that encouragement to somebody today, because I've been feeling a lot lately that, man, like I'm 30, I'll be 35 this year, and I want to be able to have this great career where I can make enough money to buy a house, to, meet a wife and to start a family. And these are things that just weigh on me, because I'm feeling like, man, like God, like, is my life just behind? When I look at other people on social media who are like 16 to 25 years old, and they're like media moguls with their social media accounts, it's just a weird time where if we compare ourselves to others, or we choose to look at people around us, even in our peer group, our friends or family members who have hit certain milestones that we would like to achieve and we haven't been there yet, God's timing is God's timing. And we have to remember that. We have to remember that. Embrace this journey and trust the process. God has a plan for your life, and anything that he has manifested in you, anything that he has planned for you, even that you're not even aware of yet, the blessings that are to come as you dedicate your life to him and you serve the Lord will bring everything to pass that is meant for your life, regardless of when it's meant to bloom. Just remember that your timing is coming. And I want you to be encouraged, because these stories that we could look at, we look back at them and they're beautiful, because it seemed at that time, there's no way. And we see the power, love, and mercy of God for miracles to literally come through people's lives as they've dedicated their lives to Him. Have faith, keep the faith, serve Him every day, and your time will come. Hope this is encouragement to somebody. Until next time, I love y'all. Check out one of these other videos that I've made for more encouragement. Peace.